The monster, Hwasong-17 intercontinental ballistic missile shown this week in North Korean state media, after the country's biggest test fire, is likely from an earlier launch, analysts say after examining the images and video. Key points. Analysts say images released by North Korea indicate the missile launch actually happened on a different date and time. Analysts say images released by North Korea indicate the missile launch actually happened on a different date and time. One report says the missile shown may have been one South Korea said exploded in mid-air shortly after launch on March 16. One report says the missile shown may have been one South Korea said exploded in mid-air shortly after launch on March 16. North Korea has not publicly acknowledged that apparent test launch or its failure. North Korea said Thursday's launch was of the Hwasong-17, a huge new ICBM unveiled at a pre-dawn military parade in October 2020, but never before publicly tested. But analysts said shadows, weather, and other aspects of the imagery suggest the launch showed by North Korea actually happened on a different date and time. Multiple pieces of visual evidence suggest North Korea's version of events is misleading at best, and possibly a complete fabrication of a successful Hwasong-17 test at worst. NK-Pro, a Seoul-based research website that tracks North Korea, said in a report. There is little doubt that a missile test happened on Thursday, and that it was the longest and highest ever conducted by North Korea. Earlier this year, North Korea said it would bolster its defenses against the United States and consider resuming all temporarily suspended activities. Flight data was independently corroborated by South Korea and Japan, which tracked the launch. However, the NK-Pro report said the missile shown in state media coverage may have been one that South Korea said exploded in mid-air shortly after launch on March 16. North Korea never publicly acknowledged that apparent test launch or its failure, which reportedly sent debris raining down in or near Pyongyang. Michael Dutzman, with the US-based James Martin Center for Nonproliferation Studies, said researchers at the center agreed that some of the footage released by North Korea was from the failed test on the morning of March 16 rather than March 24 test, which occurred around 2:24 p.m. Photographs and video released by North Korean state media show a Hwasong-17 lifting off from its 22-wheel transporter, Erector, launch vehicle at the Pyongyang airport. The TEL's shadow matches a morning launch much better than an afternoon launch, he said on Twitter. Loading. US and South Korean officials previously said the Hwasong-17 system was tested during launches on February 27 and March 5, but not at full range nor capability. Neither Washington nor Seoul has confirmed what missile was involved with the failed launch or commented on the discrepancies in North Korea's claims. South Korean media have cited unnamed officials saying they were examining whether North Korea had launched an older and smaller type of ICBM, the Hwasong-15, which had previously been test-fired in November 2017. While this does not mean that March 24 test was a Hwasong-15, it does raise questions, Mr. Dutzman said of the imagery. M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Watch 3 minutes 24 seconds 3 minutes and 24 seconds dramatically edited video of Kim Jong-un overseeing North Korea's missile test. North Korea seemingly resumes nuclear activities. Amid a flurry of diplomacy in 2018, Mr. Kim declared a self-imposed moratorium on testing ICBMs and nuclear weapons, but suggested the North could resume such testing amid stalled denuclearization talks. That moratorium had often been touted as a success by former US President Donald Trump, who held several historic summits with Mr. Kim in 2018 and 2019, but never gained a concrete pact to limit the North's nuclear or missile arsenals. On January 19, North Korea said it would bolster its defenses against the United States and consider resuming all temporarily suspended activities. According to state news agency KCNA, an apparent reference to the self-imposed moratorium. New construction has also been spotted at North Korea's only known nuclear test site, which was shuttered in 2018. The looming prospect of possible nuclear tests, more joint US-South Korea military drills, And the new conservative South Korean president mean all conditions are present for a tit-for-tat chain reaction of escalating steps, said Chad O'Carroll, chief of a group that monitors North Korea. Though US President Joe Biden would prefer to focus exclusively on the Ukraine crisis, it's likely he will soon face crisis-level tensions between the Koreas, he said. With the sanctions regime at an impasse at the UN Security Council and North Korea opposed to talks on denuclearization for the foreseeable future, Pyongyang is now likely capable of making serious progress on its weapons development program with little risk of substantive punishment, Mr. O'Carroll added.